What is up, everybody? I am Mumphy. Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, thanks for joining. In today's video, what I got is a great install that I've been really excited about doing for quite some time. You can see them in the background here. I'm actually in a new location for this install just because I wanted a little bit more light and a little bit more room than my current garage setup. So what I got for you today is the rock slider install. Stay tuned. Alright guys, I'm really excited. I got them out of the truck, the sliders out of the truck, and I've kind of got all the tools that come with the kit laid out. So one of the things that's kind of tricky about the driver's side, and kind of why we're starting on the driver's side first, is that under the frame you'll see a control box, and I'll show you once we start prepping the truck to install the sliders. So yeah, let's get going. Let's get under the truck and I'll show you some of the prep work that you're going to need to do before installing this rock slider on the driver's side. As we crawl under the truck, you're going to need to take this specialty nut that comes in the kit, and there's two of them, one for each side. And as we come under here, this nut is going to fit right in this slot. So we're just going to set this in there. And just let it sit there for now. There's a hole over here where we can adjust where the nut sits, and we'll do that later. Next thing we're going to do is we'll remove these two bolts that hold the control box that's found on the other side. So here's that control box that we'll need to remove for this install. Now these two bolts holding that control box on the other side are 12 millimeters. And now we should be able to move this control box just out of the way for right now. We'll let that just kind of hang there for right now. Alright, next what we'll do is a little ways back from the control box that we just took off is a bolt that we'll need to remove, and we'll be utilizing this to hang the slider on. This is a 14 millimeter bolt. Next, where we put our specialty nut, right above here there's a cap. Sometimes there's a sticker that we'll need to pry off. Alright, the next thing that we're going to do is going to be a little tricky, but we need to remove this plastic cap. And we need to reach back and grab this 12 millimeter bolt that's back behind these brake lines. And then we'll kind of work our way at getting this cap out. And we'll replace this later down the line. Kind of work on just finagling this past the brake lines. We're out like that, and we'll be putting this back in after we're done installing. Okay, now that we've got the prep work out of the way, we're ready to install the driver's side rock slider onto the truck. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that 14 millimeter bolt that we took out from the stock frame and use that to hold it back up so we can mount everything else up. These things are beefy and heavy, so yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of jack stands, just kind of place them up here, so that way I can get that 14mm bolt inserted back into the hole, and from there I should be able to get the rest of the hardware installed, and then we can move on to the passenger side, which is a little bit easier simply because you don't have the control box to worry about and the brake lines. So here we go. Alright, I got that 14mm bolt started. Let's see if I can get the camera to adjust here. So there it is. This bolt is holding the whole thing up currently right now, so I'm just going to make sure that I kind of cinch this up. Now that's supporting the rock slider, so I can now install all the other hardware. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll get the bolt that I showed you up front and the bolt that's pretty close to the gas tank. We'll get those bolted on, and then we'll move on to next steps. Okay, we're going to take a 1/2-inch bolt, put a washer on there. We're going to run it back along here, and then we've got to reach pretty far back from where the cap and that opening is, which starts about right here, to reach back in there to get this bolt, or to get the nut on the bolt. So this may take me a little bit. Alright guys, just a quick thing on that bolt towards the front. Let me get under here. This bolt right here, let's see if I can show you guys. Let me grab my flashlight. So this bolt that you end up connecting underneath right there runs, you have to basically stick your arm into the frame to reach all the way back here. This is the most difficult bolt you'll probably have to deal with on the driver's side, simply because you have the brake lines as you're reaching up into the frame. So take your time. If you've got somebody with small hands, small forearm and small wrist, they can help at least reach back and get the nut started. The nut will bite down and won't twist once it's finally on. So that's just a big FYI. That is going to be the biggest pain. I ended up kind of carving myself up a little bit on the frame for me, just trying to reach in. I've got big forearms, trying to squeeze past the brake lines. So keep that in mind when you're looking at doing rock sliders. I found out that a lot of manufacturers tie in to that same location. So it's not just CBI who I got mine through. It's quite a lot of manufacturers out there of rock sliders just in general that utilize that mounting point. So just be aware of that. All right, we're continuing. We're moving on. I'm kind of running out of light, so I got to hustle. All right, we're back underneath the driver's side. I'm going to go ahead and just put my brake line mounts back on. Move that down. control box is really getting annoying. So we'll get the brake line mounted back in and get that just kind of covered up. Okay. Or just bend those up out of the way so we can fit this bolt the head side going through. And quite honestly, I'm not really sure I want to keep this here. So, the only reason why we're doing that is because we're going to mount the control box back over the top of this. So, let me get a nut. And just kind of bend those brake lines a little bit out of the way. So what you'll need is a 3/4 wrench to hold the nut down, or to hold the bolt down. Now we should be able to take our control box, line that up just like that, and we can tighten those nuts back up. So we had our control box nuts right here, and the other one's up over here. Oop. Maybe. So on the other side of this, you just reinsert those and tighten them down. Yeah, it's getting kind of dark out here and I'm losing a lot of light, but I'm going to keep going. This is all for you guys. Basically, CBI has a couple of bolt spots. One that gets real close to a set of brake lines. I'm not sure. I mean, my hand's here. Fingers on the other side. Let me move you guys. You can probably see this a little better. So, they have a bolt hole right here. You're supposed to slide a bolt through to tie in to the frame. Well, the bolt's messing with these brake lines, and I'm not going to put a bolt there. I think I really just don't trust it. But there is a second one that's a little further back. See if you guys can look back there. You can see my finger wiggling. So this is a bolt hole to tie in as well. And you'll take that flat, there's a flat square washer that comes in your kit. So you'll put the bolt through here, you'll put the square washer on the back, and then the nut, and then tighten that down. So I'll put one here. I'm not going to put one here where this brake line. Let's see, where is it? There's my finger. Haha, right there. So I'm not going to place one here. I don't want to jack with brake lines. So I'll put one back here that's actually clear. So the one further back. So here we go. All right, guys, I have lost a ton of light. So basically what I'm going to do is I am going to finish up tomorrow getting the passenger side done. I'm going to tighten everything up on the driver's side tonight, and I'll cover everything tomorrow. Later. Alright, welcome back, guys. This is day 2. Ran out of light the other day trying to get these installed. So what I got is, we're doing the passenger side now. I'm going to go over and recover all the install things that we did on the driver's side real quick. So alright, so here we are. We're on the driver's side. Now, we did run into a couple of issues and questions on the driver's side install. We've got 2 forward bolts that we mounted up. We remounted the stock 14 mil bolt. We also got the bolt that goes behind the control box on the other side of the frame. That's also pretty close to some brake lines, but you can kind of bend those up out of the way. Down the line, I may switch out that bolt for a round head, just so that there aren't any sharp edges threatening those brake lines, because that really kind of sketches me a little bit. Then, as we lay down here, we got this other mounting bolt here and the J-hook. So the other thing that we got done was some lag bolts with those special connectors. And now we're all set up on the driver's side. The passenger side should go a little bit smoother, simply because we don't have the brake line, we don't have the control box to deal with. So we should be able to get all of the hardware mounted up. There was one section that I was a little bit, I didn't feel good about putting a bolt on, just because that bolt stuck far enough through to really mess with some brake lines. So I left that one out. Other than that, this thing is steady, it's on there. I went through last night and tightened everything up. So the passenger side is ready to go. If I run into any issues, I'll bring you along and show you kind of what I'm doing over there. Alright, we're under the truck here. And that frame cap that we pulled off is right here. So that cap we pulled off is all the way up here, where this angle is and where this cross member is. So we've got to reach our arm all the way back into there to where that hole is, so that way we can reach the bolt. So I'll go ahead and put the bolt through. We'll see if my fat arm can make it all the way back there. And nut hand tight on there. And the passenger side is much easier to do than the driver's side, because you don't have brake lines that are, you know, there's a brake line mounting point here, and brake lines that run all the way down the inside of the frame, plus a control box. So the passenger side is definitely much easier to deal with. Next thing we can do while we're back here is we'll take our J-bolt and we can run that through the drop down and attach it to the frame right here. Alright, now next up we're going to take our lag bolts, L bracket, so that'll attach to the back side of the frame. So we'll take our lag bolt, we'll run it up through here, take the L bracket, set it on there, and then we'll take this locking nut, I'll get that started on there, and then we've got one more to do, so we've got another bolt, and that one's going to be right here. Alright, now full disclaimer, when I got this kit I thought everything was going to work, and I'm not sure what happened, if there's a miscommunication or what, but I do end up with 4 extra bolts. One of them I talked about on the driver's side I'm not going to use just because it interferes with the brake line, so I'm still left with 3. 2 of them have kind of a strange issue with, and that happens to be up front in utilizing that specialty nut that we put inside the frame. These bolts are actually too big that came with the kit. So I had to drop down a size. Luckily I found one that fit the nut. So I had to go down to a 14 mil bolt in order to fit that specialty nut that we fit into the frame. A little annoying, just because you'd think that if they're going to start utilizing three-quarter bolts, they'd give you a 3/4 specialty nut. I'll show you where that's at. All right, that specialty nut, which we stuck right here, you can reach back through the frame so that you can align it. But that bolt the nut is built for a 14 mil bolt head and not the actual bolts that came in the kit. So that's a little something that I ran into. I'm not sure if it'll happen every time, but it's just what I happen to deal with. For the most part, I think I am all set and ready to cinch this all down and tighten it up. So here we go. Now we're still under here, we've got everything tightened down, what needs to be tightened on the passenger side. Now we're going to put back the last piece, and then we're completely done with this install for the CBI rock sliders. And that last piece is going to be this cover plate up here. So put back this cover plate, make sure that snaps back in there. Take our 12 mil bolt. Everything is tightened down. We are solid. And that's the last piece, so we should be completely done. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this install. Yeah, there are a couple of difficult sections on this install. Mostly they're going to be on the driver's side, and that's only because you have that control box and some brake lines to deal with. If you're doing this install, I do recommend finding somebody that's got very skinny hands or arms to help you with that driver's side nut, the one that's up here towards the front, because it is quite a ways back to reach in, so that way you can secure that. Other than that, this was quite a fun install, even though it took a little bit longer to do. I had to do this over the 2 days, which is probably why you've noticed I have a different hoodie on. But got the passenger side done, much easier to do. I highly recommend utilizing jack stands if you're going to do this by yourself, simply because they will hold the sliders up so you can position it to where you need to get that first stock 14 mil bolt back. Overall, I mean, they look great. CBI did a good job as far as manufacturing these. The only issue that I ran into was the specialty nut that slides into the frame was the wrong size. You guys gave me the wrong size bolt and the wrong size nut. That's the only complaint that I got on these. Other than that, everything else fits great. The construction's really good. So these are for the 5-foot bed. If you do have the 6-foot bed, you will need to note that when you're ordering these from CBI. I think there's a length difference between the 5-foot bed and the 6-foot bed. So keep that in mind when you're doing these or when you're ordering them. But overall, I'm super happy with the way that they turned out. Now, let me close my door here. There we go. Yeah, I really like them. The top plates look really good. They got the CBI laser etched into the kick out, which I really like. So take your time when you're installing these and you'll have a good fun time. The other thing, I highly recommend doing this in a little bit warmer weather, maybe. You know, just a suggestion. If you like this video, hit that like button. It makes me feel good about myself. Just kidding. No, but it helps me out as far as the algorithms on the YouTube. If you like the video, please consider subscribing. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody that's subscribed so far. Man, you guys are awesome. Thanks for inspiring me to keep going on these. If you want to see something specific, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys would like me to cover. I'll do my best. So, appreciate you guys. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for joining me as I evolve this truck. We'll catch you in the next video. Peace.